Peace, family. This is your boy Drew, and just chilling in my hotel now. And yeah, in the hotel, pretty nice. It's early. I beat the sun up, and my mind is going. These last 48 hours have been nothing but just validation. When I made a decision to come up, um, right now you're probably like, "Where are you, Drew? Where you at?" I'm in DC. I'm back home. And when I left Virginia Beach, I didn't decide to take 95 because that's the most direct route. But anybody that's been on 95 knows at any given moment, you're going to hit gridlock. The closer you get to DC, the closer you're going to stop. And I said, I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm doing. Mm-mm. So I decided to take the Chesapeake Bay Tunnel, paid my little $15, and off I go, right? And as I'm driving, I'm taking my time. I'm making good time. Don't get me wrong. But I decided, I said, I'm gonna take my I'm gonna just use the GPS. When in doubt, I'll look at it and keep it moving. And boy, did that GPS do me wrong. Oh yeah. Ended up adding an additional 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours to my trip. Had me in the woods, had me what they would say yonder. Oh man, I was I was able to see areas of the state of Maryland that I didn't even know existed. But you know what? As I was driving, going through the farmlands, I noticed that every time that I went past an area that had been plowed, there was all these different type of birds out there, and it just at first I was like, well, maybe those are seagulls. And I was like, they're too big to be seagulls. Made note, kept going, and I started seeing the same symbolism. Then it was white cranes, because for those who know, on the East Coast, we had to deal with the weather that came from the Midwest in regards to the snow, which all they did was gave opportunity for the birds to pull up, you know, whatever they were eating on. And as I was driving, the more deeper and deeper I got, the more and more birds I saw. I even had the opportunity to see some eagles sitting out there in these farmlands, huge, huge. And I kept driving, I kept driving, I kept driving. Stop a couple times. And then as I started to make my way, actually, by the time I got frustrated, I changed it up. I ended up crossing, and I came up on the top of northern Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania area. Totally out of the loop. Shouldn't even been up there. But I didn't care. I'm just driving. Eventually make my way past Baltimore, And as I'm going through the hills and the valleys, getting closer and closer to the city, I started to think I was going home. This a journey that should have only take 4 hours, 4.5, 5, worst case, if you're in serious gridlock, DMV traffic. Realized I didn't get to my hotel until 8 o'clock, almost 8:30. But you know what? I didn't even care. I didn't care. Checked in, and the first thing I did was I went and grabbed me something to eat. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, you know what? I want to go to a local bodega and get some local food. For those who are from the DMV area, one of our mainstays is having a steak and cheese with chicken wings and mumbo sauce. That's a delicacy here in the city. And so I wanted that. But then I was starting to sit in, the tiredness from the road was starting to sit in a little bit. The stress of my responsibility was starting to weigh really heavy on my spirit. So I ended up getting some Popeyes and I brought it to the room and I ate and crashed. That was the first night. That was Thursday night. Yesterday morning, I got up, broke out my suits, decided on which one I was going to wear, and I decided to make my way. So yesterday I had to go to another funeral, y'all. Another funeral. 10 o'clock in the morning. But that was the prescribed time to be where I had to be. And there was some reluctancy there because I was going to be seeing family that I hadn't seen in decades, sometimes even longer, you know. But I wasn't going to miss that opportunity to be accounted for, to be present. So that was my day. Closed, hugged, kissed, and I left. I didn't come back to the repast after the burial because the devil's a liar. It's time for me to move on. So I came back to the hotel, changed up, and I decided to make some visits. One of the visits was I had to see my father. I hadn't seen my father in years. We've talked through the time, but it was time that we were to have that face to face. And let me rewind that. Before I saw him, you know what I do. I was like, I went GPS Marshalls, so I went to a couple Marshalls to see what they had up in there. Had a couple, I had to come up on a couple stuff, and then I reached out to people that was connected to me, talked to them for a little bit. Matter of fact, this morning, in about 4 hours, I'm going to actually have breakfast with loved ones. And when I saw my father, it was a long time coming because there was a lot of things that were never spoken on, never addressed, that still had an impact for over 30 years, family, over 30 years. It was time. So I made sure that I was accounted for. I was present. And I'm not going to sit up and lie to y'all. I'm going to tell you what, my emotions felt a certain kind of way because there was a lot of things that I wanted to ask, was afraid to ask because you're addressing the person that created you. But it was time. But you know what I ended up doing? While being present in that moment with my father, I did a lot of listening. I did a lot of visually validating what was going on. And I noticed this man that was once looked like he was chiseled marble. He was aging. He was frail. And I noticed that the paradigm of the child to the parent, it was changing. I saw myself in my father. And it was bittersweet. It was bittersweet. It was bittersweet. There was a lot of anger that I had been holding within myself that I used as motivation because of unknown expectations, or criticism, or fear, or insecurity. Insecurity, family. Then I realized something. That is one of the dynamics that people deal with publicly by acting out, outbursts, disrespect, or compartmentalizing it to a point it is deflection and denial. And my father asked me, he said, "You haven't been around." And I said, "Don't," he was like, "Don't become a drifter." Because anybody that knows me, they know I'm like the wind. Now you see me, now you don't. But really, I also have come to understand that it is not like I'm the wind. I go where I'm guided to be present, because it comes from your heart. So we had our words, we had our understanding, and I was respectful the whole time. That's my father. And it made me go back to a point or earlier today when I stood in front of that burial site. And the moments I was in that church and I saw all the love. Good morning. Good morning. I was in the church. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing people that legitimately I should have relationships with because these people are my family. They're my blood. but they were strangers. See, that has always been a problem for a lot of people, especially in the minority community. We don't talk about the things that make us feel unsafe, that make us feel insecure, and we end up leaning on the aspects of coulda, woulda, shoulda. If I had time, if I could go back, if that moment would happen again, we spend too much time in that dialogue instead of seizing the moment, seizing it. Don't let your pride rob you of your legacy. Don't let your pain deny you from joy. You know, I was telling my cousin, I heard something on Steve Harvey's show yesterday. And it was already something I'd already known. But it was good to see that he spoke on it. And he said, no matter where you're at, if you have a relationship and and your partner does not motivate the best you with the wrong person. No amount of money can negate that truth. Which that was only validation of what I've been speaking on for years, have I not? Because I can spin it and say the same thing. Why you go seeking a relationship until you solidify the relationship with yourself first? How can you expect someone to love you if you don't love yourself more? But the truth of the matter is somebody's waking up this morning in a beautiful bed, in a beautiful location, and everything that their dreams could possibly imagine. And guess what? They doing time. They doing time. Because there ain't no love there. And if there's no love there, guess what? There's no security. And if there's no security, how can you have peace of mind? How can you? Who you fooling? Who you fooling? But see, that is something that has always been thrown out socially like breadcrumbs for the naive to embrace. Because when it comes to keeping it real, we ain't being real or committed to the things that should be talked about the most. We're too easy to be distracted on things that have no merit, but are only set up systematically to do just that, to keep you distracted from the things that should matter most. So my first intentions, family, before I made this video right here, I was gonna wake up. Well, it's early as you can see, and my first intention was I was going to run this video around different landmarks in the city. So yeah, I could do that. But you know me. Some of you who've been around, you know I like to pick this up when I moved and called to speak on it. But geographically, I'm not too far from FedEx Field right now. And at first, I had accommodations right down AC. I did. But then I was like, well, I ain't trying to mess with the parking. Not trying to speak into existence, but I like my Jeep the way it is with less dings on it. And the further you go into DC, the older the buildings are. which means the parking is extremely small. And I didn't want to risk that. So I said, well, I'll be right outside, and I can commute in. I might very well still roll through the city before I leave to come back down to the beach. But it just gave me an opportunity to focus on the things that matter most. Now, you may be wondering, why did I put the title that I did before? Because the tree represents foundation, your legacy, your story. The roots is the growth of the connection. You are that tree. If you expand it, you could say you are one of the branches of your family tree. And for those who saw my last video, I told you how big that tree was and how one major pieces of that tree was broken, and how baffled I was how it fell. And I know hindsight is 2020, but I would be remiss to tell you this. 2 days ago, that same very tree, it's got flowers on it now. When I get back down there, when I get back home, I'll show it to you. There's flowers coming out of every stem of that tree. Every one. But here's a kicker. The branch that broke wasn't a clean break like I thought. Oh, it's completely fell over. Completely. But it's not disconnected from its root or its foundation because it's got flowers on it. And that blew my mind. So how is it that this branch, this major branch, this 600-pound branch, it still lives? It still lives. How's it possible? Then it dawned on me. The branch is still at the maybe I'm gonna guess maybe 3 inch, no more than 4 inch of that branch is still with the tree itself. And guess what? That branch still lives. Still. So what I gathered out of that was no matter change in your life, no matter what life event occurs, you're still supposed to live through it. You may be going through something where something is taken away, or maybe something removed so you can have something else. There's another chapter. This is a block being freed, or this is an opportunity to grow. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Because I've been hovering around that tree for a minute, and it just was so mind blowing. And little did I know that tree would represent what would play out in my life. That tree represented the state of mentality that I had in projection of my family, my lineage. Because there's my mother's side, there's my dad's side, there's my father's side. You know what that means? That means either A, somebody from the other side that unconditionally loves you, still loves you, and is looking out for your best interest, such as if it's from a position of discomfort, it could be a warning. Like for me, my numbers are 888. What does the 8 stand for? The infinity, unbreakable, forever. Now, I've when when I did the research, I looked at it. Some people dabble with numerology. I did my research on it. I studied up on it, and then I saw the nuances and the synchronicities, like my name, 8 letters, my date of birth. It all summates to the number 8. I realized every address that I've had, the summation number is 8. Um, Unconsciously, even the numbers, anything connected to me had that number. So at first, it kind of freaked me out. It did, but I also realized that, well, what is a number? It is the same as a word. It is a frequency. See, I got a birthday coming up too. My birthday's 3/7, March 7th. It's coming around the corner. It's coming. But I will tell you that the more and more you choose to not be apprehensive of what's being shown, the more you will show, the more you'll be shown. Now, granted, this may be a moment that you're about to make a major life change. If you So you're gonna have to ask yourself some true questions. Like one, are you happy? Is the things that make your environment, do they validate who you are? And you have to do some real soul searching about that, because some people don't do that. Some people won't do that. They're afraid. You know why? Because that's what makes up your perceptions. That's what makes up why you do and respond the way you do. And that's why some people are afraid to be vulnerable. But then, you know what dawned on me? Not to wander, but I know this is going to help somebody. The thought that crossed my mind these last couple days were, are you truly living a fulfilled life? Are you doing what you are supposed to do? The reason why you're on this planet to begin with? Or are you just doing it because it's convenient? Do you realize how personal that question is? Do you realize how powerful that question is too? Hmm? Realize how much courage that requires? I'm gonna take a walk out my, yeah, see, I got my stuff. It's a nice hotel. Got my backpack and got my gear. Like they say, the early bird catches a worm. But you realize how much courage it requires for people to be transparent. You realize that? Most people can't do it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Doing my blog.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. But see, it takes energy to be transparent. And, most people can't do it. Most people won't do it. All right. But you know what I also realized while I was here, while I'm up here, I realized how many. That's one thing I realized if it came through or not. Okay. I guess I lost y'all. But what I was saying was, one thing I realized since I was here, just indirectly, how many people are truly, truly lonely. And on the outside, they may seem fulfilled, but they not. At first, I thought, no, that's just the society that we live in and people just being paranoid. But you can see, just to take a second to acknowledge that they exist. Just what makes you unsafe? Yeah, for those who know, I've got the chat going on right now. So, and then where I'm at, the Wi-Fi is playing around. But when I go back into my room, it'll kick in. So if it seems a little lag, bear with me on that for a second, and I'm gonna go back in. But what makes you feel unsafe is the fact that it's not where you're at, it's you. So you gotta address what makes you feel unsafe, and then physically, what you can do is go get you some sage. Get you some sage. Smudge. You smudge that. What I mean by smudge is you burn it like an incense. Every door, every window, and yes, queens, around every mirror. Because what does it do? It projects what it sees. So the question is, see, or do you not know what you see? Because of what have you always heard? The eyes are the window to the soul, right? So what do you think a mirror does? It magnifies it. But maybe that insecurity isn't at all. Maybe that's strength and you just don't realize. Maybe that's a call you have yet to fulfill, that I know what I know. I take it, told me loud. So as I'm walking back in, this signal should be okay. But trying to be discreet because it is early in the morning. People are sleeping. People are getting their rest. People are starting their day. But I would be remiss not to share something with you guys. Now, Just give me about 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds because I got to use the restroom. I mean, it's not even 6 o'clock. 1 second, okay? 1 second. I'm just going to put the phone down. Okay, I just need literally 1 minute. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Now I'm about to turn. I'm gonna turn the page on something. I'm gonna try to make it light as best I can. But I realized something that people don't speak on, and they should. And I think a lot of it has to do with social complex or social narrative. You realize how many lonely people are in the world? Do you realize? Now, y'all saw what time I started, right? Tell me why. How is it coincidental that there ain't nothing but a bunch of women in the lobby right now, coming out of their rooms, just out, got the little leggings on, you know, grabbing towels. Come on, really? Come on. I I even saw yesterday people were in the window looking down, and I'm like, that used to make me very insecure. It used to because I didn't understand it. I didn't. Let me plug up my. I'm gonna plug up my phone because the battery is saying, "Hey, I'm I need some. Excuse me. I'm sorry. There you go. I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna see if I can. There you go. I'm gonna see if this works. There you go. There you go. So I, I went and got some coffee. Where all these women come from? Just out walking around in the hotel room. Now, it could be that golden rule. Check out that, you do what you do. But what I did realize is there's a lot of people with an underlining longing for connection. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to feel that, even if it's temporary. I could be totally wrong. I know that there are people here that are here on leisure or here on business because we're not too far from the base. But I would like to believe that, going back to the symbolism of that tree, as a whole, we're all connected. We're all one. Some of y'all remember. Y'all know Maze, we are one, because we are. We're not going to always see eye to eye. But it is still our responsibility to learn. Because the more we learn, the more we grow. But I thought that was kind of coincidental that I, I done, I done been out my room twice, and wait a minute, where are all these people? Where are all these women coming from? Where are they? Mm. But family, what I'm trying to say to y'all is this. I know 2019 hasn't been a positive year in regards to how it plays out thus far, but I like to believe optimistically that it will. Do not allow yourself to get caught up on what is being prescribed as what is accepted or acceptable. I think more, if anything, 2019 is really the opportunity to redefine who you are. Did you hear me? You know how I used to always say in my videos, do you know who you are? Maybe this is a year that you discover it. Maybe this is a year that you make the decision to embrace who you are. Now, the trade off might be you're going to have to admit to yourself what is not needed. And it may come at the cost of a connection of someone. Or it may mean that the ideology that you once had does not fit with who you are now, which means you have to define it. And that's okay. It's okay. Because keep in mind, the one thing that I realized that was for certain attending that funeral, who would have ever thought that I would be at another funeral? I was just at one December 26th. Another one in the book. And guess what? Reality is, one day that's going to be you too. I'm not trying to sound morbid, but what is a life unfulfilled? What is a life not claimed? What is a dream not lived? And I think it's kind of mind blowing because I've talked to people that I've been connected to for 30 years. And I was kind of reluctant, but I talked to them. And everybody got something going on that they're going through. But the key word is going through, not staying there. I'm not saying walk away. What I'm saying is clarify it. Maybe this is the moment that you say, well, you know what? I'm tired of playing the blame game when it comes to your finances. You know, I got to talk about it. And let me tell you about this whole thing, because some of y'all may not know, some maybe y'all do. I have been talking a lot about my taxes, and last year I had to I had to I had to pay back 10 grand, right? And this was because it was cumulative. The bill was originally 4,500, but with interest it doubled. Anyway, long story short, I realized that I fulfilled my obligation. Did it before the tax season for filing for taxes. Done it. So I'm happy. So I turned around and contacted them and wanted to make sure that I was on the same page because, like I said, I was overpaying to offset the debt. Okay, I'm back. Of course, got to give him glory. You're alive. You are the glory. You are in his image, not man's. And I say that with love. But I just want to let y'all know if you're in a situation where you find out that you have to pay back taxes, first thing you do, don't go to nobody third party because nothing's for free. No matter what they tell you, you can do that on your own. You can do the same thing. You call them. You set up a payment plan. You can set it up so that it comes off your paycheck before you get your check. So it's right off the top. So you see it, but then you get to a point that you won't miss it. But you have to be mindful of this. I ended up finding out that for 2017, I had a tax return. 2018, I had a tax return. So what's the big deal about that, Joe? And I'm gonna be honest with you on this. I got to speak true. 2017, I had 2,000 coming back. 2018, I got 2,000 coming back. Right? That's 4,000. I didn't pay $3,500 out of my payroll over on top. So that's $7,500. My debt was 34. You know what they did? They took my 2017. They took it. And I want to say they're going to take the residual out of my 2018. Bill's going to be paid. Here's the problem. I got it. Then what was the point of me paying the 35 if you're going to pull it out of my returns anyway? So now I'm going to have to go through a process of the paperwork and the numbers have to catch up. And that's going to take some time. At the end of the day, I'll get 4 grand back eventually. So what I'm telling you is this. You're going to have some people that say, hey, look here. I can make sure that you get a major tax return, and then they may say I can hook you up. Be leery of that. Be leery of that, because if for God, look, the one thing about IRS is this: every penny they account for it. There's no running away from that. Y'all heard the saying: the two things you can't escape is paying your taxes and death. But don't stress over it. Come up with a game plan. Come up with a game plan. Just do it. Because the longer you wait, all it does, they ain't gonna come chase you down like they say. Do is let the numbers pile up. But that's why you always hear people say, well, if you owe 50 grand or more, or they'll say if you owe 50 grand or less, they'll work with you. Anything more, guess what? They're gonna come knocking at your door. Most people don't owe $50,000 unless you have a business or something, and whatever that may be. But so it's like it's bittersweet because I know I got money coming. It's just when it comes. Now let's go back to what I was saying earlier. I realized that socially we have gotten so disconnected from ourselves, from a exterior perspective down to an individual aspect. In a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, there's a lot of people that have a void. They have a void within themselves, and they're just spinning. They're just spinning within their minds, and they just want to be happy. They just want to be happy. And then I realized, well, why you think all those dating sites today are worth over $1 billion each? Because they're using that to play on your emotions, to shake you down. They didn't make their money. Now I'm not saying that out of criticism. I'm saying that because I've been there. But as I was talking to my cousin yesterday, and she was telling me about the past relationship she was in, and I told her, I said, listen, the number one thing that you should not do as an individual is seek out a relationship. That's the number one thing you should not do. You need to seek a relationship with yourself first. Focus on you. I don't mean it from a position of being selfish. I mean that is in a position of being selfless. Think about all the concessions that you've made to appease the person that was in your life that you put on hold, all the sacrifices that you've made. That should be your priority of fulfilling now that you're by yourself. And what I mean by yourself, I don't mean that from a negative perspective. I mean, you have clarity now. Should be no drama. Should not be no toxicity. Because now, verbally, you are standing on your foundation, which some people may know that is your rock bottom. So what happens when you enter rock bottom? You get to survey what's there, and you get to acknowledge what ain't. Because have you noticed when you're by yourself, or when people perceive that you got it together, you notice they ain't there? Some may even take the audacity to gloat, like, look at you. And they may be benefiting off of your disappointment. Do not turn around and return the energy back to them. You take note, take stock, because that's your answer. That's to let you know they did not deserve the gift known as you. You sidestep that. You sidestep them. You keep it moving. You know why I'm telling you this? Because some people want you to be the same person that matches their mentality. So they can't afford to see you grow. Because if you grow, you're going to leave them. As long as you're uneasy, you can't move. As long as you keep that indecisiveness, you can't grow. I'm going to keep saying this until the intended heart. I don't know. There you go. I'm going to keep saying this until the intended heart and I'm going to keep saying this until the intended heart hears this. You was always the gift. Always was. Now, you want to be treasured or you want to be disregarded? Because there's a whole lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas out there. There's a whole lot of people out there that know they need to change some things up, but they won't because they're frozen. They frozen. They're afraid to step out their comfort zone because that means you're tapping in your uniqueness. They don't want that. Now tell me again why you're not smiling. Tell me again why you're not loving yourself. Tell me again why you feel that you need to fit in. Maybe that's not where you're supposed to be to begin with. You ever thought about that? Hmm? And let me tell you something, Queens. I don't know who keep telling you that you got to go beyond the call. You were already made beautiful from the beginning. If the Most High needed you to have it, He would have gave it to you. You don't have to. You don't have to extra. That's why you hear the cliche, less is more. Because I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to piss some people off. But I say this out of love. The most beautiful person you will ever come in contact You know what stands out most? Personality inside, not the exterior. We live in a world of Mattel, family. They want you to fit in cookie cutter. They want you to have that Coke bottle symmetry. Okay, you were given that. You were given, okay. But guess what? You know how many people know the truth but won't speak on it? Because they're worried about social acceptance. But guess what? Just like that tree, from the beginning of its, from the seed till its life entirety, it produces the leaves, right? And what are the leaves represent? Markers of time. Y'all remember that movie Eddie Murphy did, and the tree represented his life? That's the truth. Because you don't know how many seasons you got. So why are you waking up another day upset? Why are you waking up another day in discontent? Why are you waking up another day without telling yourself how much you love you? Why? Because you're sharing a bed with someone who doesn't love themselves? If you're in a relationship with somebody, guess what? That relationship is really a living manifestation of your state of being. So if you ain't got nothing but drama in your life, guess what? I guarantee y'all, all y'all do is fuss and fight. But somebody's saying, well, Gerald, the sex is great. The sex is great. But that's it. It's more to you than a gratification, don't you think? Why are you demarginalize yourself? Hmm? Not everybody's going to earn the right to know your story. Not everybody's going to earn the right to know your name. Not everybody's going to earn the right to walk with you or be able to watch your growth and your change. It's only for the select few, the chosen. But it is your responsibility to take note, to take stock, to survey where you've been. It is your responsibility to speak your truth, but always go within. What I'm asking you, family, life begins when you start to love yourself. It ends that way. It is the pinnacle of your perspective. So if you want to keep it real, start with the person in the mirror looking back. You cannot change yesterday, but you can go forth today. Now, wasn't trying to turn that into a poem. It just flows. It's for the intended heart and mind because I got a feeling there's somebody waking up saying, I'm not good enough. Stop that lie. You are good enough. You're more than. And until you're able to claim that, you will feel that. Maybe it's time to let Sarah go. Say goodbye to Johnny without saying goodbye. Just grow. Just grow. Don't you think you're worth it? I do. Well, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to get me some breakfast. And I would love to hear from y'all. And my parents wanted me to go meet them up at MGM Grand. They're celebrating their anniversary. But I think what I'll end up doing is getting on the road early and riding down 95 like I should have and enjoying the journey. So what you gonna do? You gonna dwell on the things that you can't change? Or are you gonna focus on the things you can? Hmm? If y'all knew how blessed y'all was, you could actually see how beautiful you really were. Stop letting people try to define your story. Peace to you. The super chat is so quick, it just pops up on my screen. Oh, by the way, I know some people are like, hey, what about your other channel? Oh, you didn't know I had another channel? I do have a health and fitness channel called Journey of a Man. Journey of a Man. And I have neglected that because y'all see me still smoking. I actually stopped. I stopped for over a month. And these funerals was my excuse. But I'm about to kick that sucker back in gear, and you'll be seeing a lot of content over there. And I just want to do right by the channel. But I do want to, more than ever, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from y'all. I would love to know, where you see yourself going. What's your goals for this year? And also, make sure you stay on top of your finances, because that's what freedom is about, right? When you have more money, you have more access. It shouldn't be the other way around. And guess what? You might realize some of that debt is not yours to begin with. It's really just liabilities with people you know. All right? Well, I'm going to go have my breakfast. Peace, family. Enjoy your weekend. I'm out.